February 8th, just this past winter, a chaotic scene outside Frederick Douglass High School terrified students and their parents. A man with a gun entered the school, shot a hall monitor just beyond the school's vestibule. 25-year-old Neil Davis was arrested for shooting and wounding 56-year-old Michael Marks.
That changed the game, and we need to make sure that we have all tools available in order to protect our staff and students in Baltimore City Schools.
Sergeant Clyde Boatwright with the city schools police force can't forget that day. While his officers were able to subdue Davis, their firearms were checked into a safe in the school office per state law. City schools police cannot carry inside schools in Baltimore, and the Douglass shooting, Boatwright says, exposed that blind spot.
You have a trained, certified police officer that is trained to respond to an active shooter situation that cannot defend the school. He's supposed to be the first line of defense.
The Douglass shooting reinvigorated the debate in Annapolis, where lawmakers were considering a bill to allow school police to carry inside city schools. But even with the renewed interest, the bill never made it past the Baltimore City delegation, which voted it down. The city schools police plans to renew the push next year, partly based on incidents like Douglass, and also the increase they themselves are seeing in seized firearms inside city schools. According to Baltimore City Public Schools, 25 weapons have been recovered since 2015. This is an average of about 6 guns per school year, but per calendar year, it's a stark rise, police say. Lawmakers should note. Now, Baltimore City Public Schools only holds on to data for a few years at a time. We were also denied access to see any of these specific police reports around these gun seizures because of the juveniles involved. But these incidents are happening citywide, from 22 caliber guns to 40, from high schools all the way to elementary schools.
They've pulled out these 25 guns, and they've been able to do it without having guns themselves.
Delegate Brooke Learman remains unconvinced. She was part of the majority in the city delegation, which decisively voted no in Annapolis this past year. Learman, who says she has a child in city schools herself, says lawmakers have yet to see any real evidence that armed SROs make schools safer.
It's a really tough issue. We're trying to do our best by looking at the actual evidence that exists. People can argue at me all day. I hear your arguments, but I want to see the evidence because that's the only way that we can cut through the opinions to get to what we think could really work and really keep our kids safe.
And until then, Learman says there is no political will to change that law.
Since 2015, homicide numbers have exploded in this city, and so has the gun recoveries in our schools.
But Boatwright says these numbers should force lawmakers' hands, an issue punctuated by the close call that was Douglass High School, an argument sure to be renewed in 2020. In Baltimore, Brian Kubler, WMAR, 2 News.